Today we will study about absolute value equation and absolute value inequality. Absolute value will be, whenever we are talking about the absolute value x equal to 7, then we can think of inside the x value as a 7. Absolute value 7 will be 7, and absolute value negative 7 also, when you take an absolute value, that will be a 7. So we can always express the inside the absolute value as either positive of this number and negative of this number. So absolute value equation, we will set up two equations. Absolute value inequality also, we will set up two inequality. So first, we have to isolate absolute value on one side. So whenever you have a certain number multiplied or added or subtracted, then we will get rid of that first. So first problem, 3 absolute value x minus 2 equal to 33. First, we're going to divide by 3 on both sides. Then we will get absolute value x minus 2 equal to 11. After you isolate absolute value on left side, then we will trying to express this one as a two equation, one with the x minus 2 equal to 11 and another one x minus 2 equal to negative 11, and then solve it. You add the 2 on both sides, so x equal to 13, and then you add the 2 on both sides, x equal to negative 9. So this is going to be the answer. And second problem, it was subtracted, so you add 5 first. In that way, you have an absolute value on the left side isolated, and then 2 on the other side. Also, you set up two equations with this. 3x plus 1 equal to 2, and 3x plus 1 equal to negative 2. And you subtract 1 on both sides, so 3x equal to 1, and then divide. So x equal to 1/3. This is 1. And then you subtract 1 on both sides. So 3x equal to negative 3. Divide by 3 on both. So x equal to negative 1. So these are going to be the solution for this absolute value equation. Now, a little bit more complicated. So for the next problem, you have to add 5 first on both sides. So negative 2 absolute value x plus 7 equal to 20. And then divide by negative 2 on both sides. Remember, you have to isolate absolute value on one side and all number on the other side. So in that way, you can set up two equations. So absolute value x plus 7 isolated on the left side, and then the other side is negative 10. Can you have an absolute value to be a negative number? When we solve the previous problem, when we isolate absolute value on left side, the other side was a positive. So whenever they are positive number, that's when you set up two equations. But when you have a negative number here, you never can have an absolute value to be a negative number. So whenever you have a negative number on the other side with an absolute value on one side, you directly say no solution. And then there's another option. Whenever you have a, for example, absolute value x plus 7 equal to 0. In somehow you got absolute value one side and 0 on the other side, then can you have a two equation? You cannot have a positive 0 and negative 0. So for this case, there's only one equation, which is a absolute value x plus 7 equal to 0. So x equal to negative 7. So this is a special example. So absolute value equation, when you solve it, isolate absolute value on one side and number on the other side. That number should be a positive number. In that way, you can set up two equations. If it's a negative number on the other side, there will be no solution. If it is a 0 on one side, there will be one equation you can set up. And then this problem here, this one right here, has a divide by negative 3 and divide by negative 3. Absolute value x plus 24 equal to 2x. On one side with the absolute value isolated, and then the other side is also variable, which means we don't know if it's a positive or negative or 0. So still, in this case, variable, then you set up two equations. So x plus 24 equal to 2x, and then x plus 24 equal to negative 2x. And you solve it. You subtract x on both. So 24 equal to x. That's 1. And then you subtract x on both. Negative 3x equal to 24. So x equal to negative 8. For this case, we have to check if it is a right or wrong into the original equation. So negative 3 absolute value 24 plus 24 equal to negative 6 times 24. So negative 3 absolute value 48, which means it will be negative 144. Is it equal to negative 6 times 24? It's a negative 144. So this is right, correct. So you can take this one as the answer. And then negative 8. Negative 3 times of absolute value, negative 8 plus 24 equal to negative 6 times negative 8. So inside negative 8 plus 24 will be 16. So negative 3 absolute value 16 will be still 16. Will be negative 6 times the negative 8 will be positive 48. This left side is a negative 48. Right side is a positive 48. That's not right. So you cannot take this one as answer. We call this as a extraneous solution. We cannot take this answer. So for this one, only answer will be 24. And then two example of absolute value inequality. So still same method as an equation. So you add 7 on both sides, and then 2 absolute value 5 plus 2x is a greater than or equal to 22, and divide by 2, absolute value 5 plus 2x is a greater than or equal to 11. Absolute value inequality, also you set up two inequality. So absolute value, always two equation or two inequality. Two inequality. That's how you solve for absolute value related equation or inequality. And 5 plus 2x greater than or equal to 11. Greater means or. 5 plus 2x is a less than or equal to negative 11. Changing inequality sign to the opposite, and then the number also opposite. And then you subtract 5 on both. 2x is a greater than or equal to 6. Divide by 2, x is a greater than or equal to 3. Or you subtract 5 on both. So 2x is less than or equal to negative 16. Divide by 2, x will be less than or equal to negative 8. So those are connected with or. So if I graph it on the number line, x is less than or equal to means you include the number, so included the darkened circle, and x is less than or equal to negative 8, it will be on the left side, and then x is a greater than or equal to closed circle with the right side to the greater than, so this side. That's how you graph it. If it's or, usually, not always, but the graph looks like this. And then you add the next problem. 3 absolute value 4x minus 7 minus 12 is less than negative 3. First, what we have to do is you add 12 on both. So 3 absolute value 4x minus 7 is a less than 9. And then you divide by 3. Absolute value 4x minus 7 is less than 3. also you set up two inequality, but for less than is connected with the and. So for especially if it's a less than, you can set up inequality instead of two inequality. You can say for x minus 7 in the middle greater than negative 3, less than 3, because it is an and. So you add as a compound inequality. You add 7 on both, and 4x is a greater than 4, less than 10. Divide by 4 on both. So x is a greater than 1, less than 5 over 2. So as a graph answer, it is a greater than, doesn't have any equal sign here. So open circle, and then 5 over 2, less than 5 over 2. So it's in between, you can say this. And special absolute value inequality, when you have an absolute value x is either greater than 0, then absolute value always greater. So you will say all real number except the 0. If it is include the 0, then you can say any number absolute value include 0, you will be satisfied with the greater than equal to 0, all real number, or absolute value x is a greater than negative number. That will be also always a greater than negative number, so all real number. When you have any absolute value x is a less than negative number, is it possible to have an absolute value to be less than negative number? No. So for this case, you will say always no solution. This is a special case. So whenever you solve absolute value equation or absolute value inequality, you have to check. Isolate absolute value on one side and number on the other side, and check the number on the right side and see if it is a positive number or a negative number. If it's a negative number, you have to think if it's a you can take that as answer, or there's a no solution. So be careful with those cases.